From claiming his body doesn't burn calories to calling Dr. Now a liar and sneaking food into the hospital, James King was undeniably the world's most hated star of My £600 Life, with fans dubbing James the epitome of someone who refuses to be helped. As he piled on the pounds during Dr. Now's weight loss program, it's not surprising that his story ended in a very predictable way. To understand why James is so hated and what he did to earn this title, we need to go back to the beginning. We learned from James's first episode that he had an exceptionally difficult childhood, as his mother was an alcoholic and he was primarily raised by his father. He only saw his mother 3 times during his entire childhood, and she was drunk every single time. James admits that at times his family did struggle with money, so there was often moments where he was worried that he was going to get enough food to eat. This is where everything starts to go downhill for James.
I just started to eat as much as I could when I got the chance. And I remember the joy and safety there was in food.
He discovered early on that food could serve as a distraction to his unhappy home life, but we could never have expected it would turn into such a gluttonous habit that ruined the lives of everyone around him. Despite his traumatic childhood, he didn't garner much sympathy from fans. Fans of the show commented, "Such is life, but it's not an excuse to be lazy, selfish, and disrespectful to people. No wonder everyone was calling him a freeloader." Other commenters pointed out that they also had traumatic childhoods, but didn't develop an insane eating habit as a result. It's clear that James has no one else to blame except for himself. Skipping ahead slightly to James at 18, weighing in at over 400 pounds. We begin to see his true nature exposed here, as James explains how he met his partner, Lisa. Starting out as neighbours, Lisa had 4 kids with her abusive husband, but Lisa and James soon grew an attachment to each other that led to an affair. They quickly fell in love, with James noting that one of the key factors in his affections for Lisa was that she loved me for who I was. My weight didn't matter. Lisa describes her early relationship with James as active, noting how they often went riding or fishing together, which are probably the most sedentary sports imaginable. Having an affair is pretty bad, but it was about to get even worse for the couple and Lisa's husband. Lisa fell pregnant twice with children who weren't her husband's. James knowingly fathered 2 of Lisa's children, while they both pretended like they were Lisa's husbands and let him raise them. During this time, James suffered a minor ankle injury and needed the fire department to come pick him up and put him to bed, which leads us to the present day. At £550, life isn't looking good for James. He's completely bedbound and relies on his family for absolutely everything, most importantly, food. His partner Lisa has become his feeder.
But he's bedridden, so I'm an enabler. I bought this food and I carry the food to him, but I don't know how to stop.
Now that James is bedbound, it's difficult to know who's worse, James, who put himself there, or Lisa, who keeps him there. Let's not pretend that James is innocent in this situation. When Lisa brings him a healthier meal, they argue and fight about it. She doesn't want to make him feel uncomfortable, so she feeds him comfort food to keep him happy. James also threatens Lisa when she doesn't feed him enough. One fan points out, "If this was my husband, I would only feed him healthy food. He's lost 100 pounds within the first month. If he yelled at me, I'd punish him by skipping his next meal. It's called tough love." And if you think James couldn't get any worse, you'd be wrong. He drafts his daughter, Bailey, into the trenches of his bedsheets. He pulls her out of school to support Lisa in becoming his full-time carer. As James is so overweight, he can no longer walk to the bathroom, and he has to soil himself in his own bed. In one of the most shocking scenes of the whole episode, James calls over Lisa and Bailey, telling them he's been to the bathroom and that he needs to be cleaned up. James has to completely depend on his daughter for everything, including cleaning up his own feces. One commenter writes, "F everything else. The fact that they pulled their daughter out of school to become a full-time assistant caretaker is absolutely disgusting, shaking my head. It's unimaginable to think that James puts himself before the needs of his own daughter, taking her away from an education so that she can be his full-time 24/7 carer. Lisa feels heartbroken that James cannot live the life he used to be as he's bedbound, but fails to mention the difficult life it must be for Bailey, who acts as her assistant caretaker in all aspects of his life. In what is his last chance to save his life, James James and Lisa decide to reach out to Dr. Now to try and make a change. They are immediately hit with the hard truth. Lisa is the enabler. She claims not to understand how James gained that much weight, making the excuse that she doesn't realize how many calories are in the food she's providing. If you haven't already started to hate James yet, you're definitely about to. As the trip to Houston and the treatment is so expensive, James and Lisa set up a GoFundMe to raise the funds. As you can imagine, people didn't exactly want to donate to someone as greedy and overindulgent as James, who'd gotten himself to over £600 by sheer gluttony. In need of immediate funds for his life-saving trip, James's dad refinanced his home to pay for the medical transport as a last resort. Unfortunately, this would all be for nothing. Raising the funds was the easy part, but now they have to figure out how they're going to transport a £600 man who hasn't gotten up to walk in years. They initially tried to put James in the back of a van, but as he's over 1 meter wider than the width of her van, he won't fit. They eventually settle on renting a moving van, strapping James in and going all the way to Texas. On moving day, James is strapped into an extra large hospital bed using ratchet straps to hold the fat spread across his body. It takes over 8 men to carry him from the house, and despite the community coming together to help James, he shows no gratitude for their efforts. He moans and complains the entire time, screeching every time the van goes over a bump. It's been a long ride for James when he arrives at the hospital, but it's about to get even longer. The time has come for James to meet the man who will hopefully save his life. It's clear that James was expecting a warm welcome with lots of sympathy for his illness, but Dr. Now has other methods. He quickly shuts down James's excuses and becomes a refreshing voice of reason for the viewer, who has undeniably been frustrated throughout the duration of the episode so far.
If they don't bring you food, what are you going to do to her? Scream, yell?
You usually argue with her?
That's all.
Well, I get mad.
What are you coming to Houston for? We don't have a miracle for you. I talked to you, I talked to her, and what I see here, this is not a weight loss.
I just talked to you for the first time. I think, 4 months ago?
4 months is enough to lose 100 pounds. To get under 600 pounds.
Really?
Yes.
Dr. Now also confronts Lisa.
I've been trying to get him out of that bed.
No, you are not.
But
If you did last time I talked to you, change his diet. It doesn't look like he lost any weight. Is this a lifestyle of a human being? This is a miserable lifestyle.
Dr. Now tries to convey the gravity of James's situation to Lisa, explaining that he hasn't got much time left as a direct result of Lisa's actions. After a tough initial meeting with Dr. Now, James is placed on a strict diet in the hospital in order to prepare for the weight loss surgery. James is put on an 800 calorie a day diet in an attempt to lose 180 pounds in 1 month. James does initially see success in the weight loss inside the hospital, and so Dr. Now allows him to move into an apartment nearby to continue the treatment at home, away from his watchful eye. As you'd expect, things don't exactly go to plan. James claims that he's only cheated a couple of times, a couple too many when you're living on borrowed time. The effects of this cheating catch up with James almost instantly as he's rushed to hospital with chest pain. The doctors determined that James was experiencing heart failure. At this point, he's so obese that the doctors need to put a central line through his neck for the medication to flow quicker, because his body's so big it wouldn't have reached his heart in time. After being treated for heart failure, he's sent home again to continue his diet plan. It's now been 2 months since he's seen Dr. Now, and he was supposed to have lost over 100 pounds. It's clear that things haven't been going well. After Lisa's car is towed, they've been unable to make trips to the supermarket and are having to rely on takeout food.
Food.
Got it.
That's a pretty ridiculous excuse, considering they could have just walked to the supermarket instead. It's especially ironic considering the pair claimed they were too broke to repair the car, which is only 1 flat tire, yet they're eating takeout food every single night, which has got to be at least $25 when you're ordering what they're ordering.
But ever since I've had my heart failure, all that stress and stuff has been making it hard for me to resist my cravings. The biggest setback has been losing the use of our car. Lisa was driving down the freeway and her tire started to come off, and we can't afford to pay for a cab, so we have to order out a lot right now.
When Lisa decides to make fish for dinner one night, James exclaims he doesn't want to eat that shit anymore. I'm tired of the same stuff. He shouts over at Lisa, order me a Chinese, and she shows little challenge.
Egg rolls and rice, fried rice.
I don't know about the rice, though.
That's what I want, though.
But rice is on that paper that we're not supposed to have.
It's
rice.
fried.
It's still rice. Fried is
Well,
worse.
that's what I want. I'm tired of fish and chicken, Lisa. I'm sick of it.
I'll get my phone and see if we can get it delivered.
Soon enough, a Chinese takeout turns up at the door and straight down James's throat and his sheets. As the viewer, it's frustrating to watch Lisa continuously give in to James. She could have easily denied his request and made him a proper meal, and if he didn't eat it, he would have been better off anyway. One commentator points this out perfectly. James would hate me because once he started hollering about the food he wants, I'd be like, get up and go and get it and walk out of the room. The daughter is the only one I have sympathy for. Those other two can kick rocks. Dr. Now shares this view when he comes round to check on James, where he immediately notices that James hasn't lost any weight at all. The pair come up with so many excuses, but none place the responsibility on either of them. Dr. Now orders James to return to the hospital to continue his treatment.
I don't think the doctor's being fair, and I don't know why he thinks I look bigger, but he's wrong because I feel better, and I know I'm smaller than when I started doing this. So hopefully when I get into the hospital and get my weight, I can prove it to him there.
It's James's first day back in hospital and he is weighed straight away. 840 pounds shows up on the scale. The hospital room erupts in conflict between Dr. Now and the pair. James complains that he hasn't had any support, that he didn't have a good nutritionist, and claims that there's something else at play here that could explain his exponential weight gain.
You know that I'm just now getting the resources I've been needing.
We're talking about your food. We're not talking anything
All
else.
of it. I've needed all of it, though, to start with. I haven't had home health. I've had nothing.
Are you telling me that to start?
Initially, Dr. Now set him on an 800 calorie a day diet. It's clear that because of his rapid weight gain in such a short amount of time, James has got to have been eating 10,000 calories a day, 13 times what he should have been eating. Dr. Now then pins the blame on Lisa. Why won't you stop overfeeding him?
Why won't you stop overfeeding him?
I don't know what the issue is. I know, like I said, that he has cheated some, but I will not bring him nothing else.
Some is not some. Is every day and every hour and every meal.
She pleads with Dr. Now not to give up on him, and he agrees to give him one more chance, allowing him an additional hospital stay on an 800 calorie a day diet. But a month later, he's lost no weight and is up to 844 pounds. Dr. Now gives James an ultimatum: lose 100 pounds in 2 months on his own, or he's completely done with him. 2 months later, James is back in hospital. Dr. Now weighs him up, and the figure shows he hasn't lost any weight. As promised, Dr. Now refuses any further treatment and discharges him. If James ever wants to be considered for treatment again, he must weigh under 600 pounds. He's had every chance and opportunity to lose weight, and he hasn't even tried. The amount of resources that James has taken advantage of to help him have all been for nothing. James has failed, but he firmly believes it's due to no fault of his own. To make matters worse, Dr. Now predicts that James only has the rest of the year to live.
You're still not losing weight and you're gaining again.
I understand he had some ups and downs, but he's been really trying now, doctor.
I don't know what else we can do for you. I think the best thing for you is to go back to Kentucky. I don't want to hear any more excuses. I'm done. If you want to be considered at all ever again, when you show up, you need to be under 600 pounds. Okay? Goodbye.
Dr. Now must be the most patient man in history. As we find out from the follow-up episode featuring James, Where Are They Now?, he has been remitted to hospital following a somewhat successful stunt at weight loss. Again, James is placed on the scales, 770 pounds, 4 pounds down from his last hospital stay.
For the first time since you started this process, you lost weight on your own. And that's the only reason I'm considering allowing you back on the program.
Dr. Now keeps James in the hospital for another month on a 1,200 calorie diet where he loses over 130 pounds. It's incredibly frustrating to watch James lose hundreds of pounds with ease when he's kept in the hospital, just as easy as it is for him to gain it when he stays at home. Following his successful weight loss, Dr. Now agrees to send him home again, but this proves a failure yet again as he comes back to the hospital on weigh-in day and has gained another 50 pounds.
You do your part and he does his part, or I'm through with you. You understand this?
Yeah, I understand.
Okay, so I'm sick and tired of wasting my time coming here, bringing all the people working for you, and you do nothing. I'm offering you help, and the problem is that you abuse that help and you're lying about it. And you two keep wasting all the energy and resources given to you.
With nowhere else to turn, Dr. Now calls Adult Protective Services on Lisa. He claims that Lisa is endangering James's life through overfeeding and that he will die within a year if she continues. Lisa clings on to the notion that this is out of her control, even insisting that James's body doesn't burn calories.
She ain't giving me no food.
I couldn't
and
tell
the only
you
thing I'm
what-
eating is what she's bringing me.
Doctor, now I think it has a lot. He does exercises with his arms. I help him with his legs.
She's lost 80 pounds, and I'm losing nothing. Something don't add up.
You don't think your weight has to do anything with your eating habit?
No, I don't.
So what do you think your weight come from? Thin air?
We
you
want
wanted
his
to
life
do it-
different.
No, you're the one that you're hurting him, okay?
I'm not hurting him. I haven't gave him no food. I done told you that. But I'm telling you right
Okay,
now,
and-
I have not gave him no food.
Okay, this
How
is
does she
all
lose 80
miracle,
pounds?
right?
No, it's not a miracle. His body doesn't burn calories.
Lisa's intentions become increasingly more apparent as the episode nears the end, as her earlier statement, "If he starts to walk again, he won't need me," rings true here. Lisa intentionally keeps James bedbound in order to keep looking after him and keep cashing disability checks. Ironically, taking care of him is leading to his death. In a final push, Dr. Now presents James with a life or death ultimatum. Stay in hospital for 5 days without Lisa or leave treatment for good. Dr. Now is trying to show James just how much of a hindrance Lisa's behavior is, but they both laugh in his face, and James chooses Lisa.
That your weight will be this weight if you're eating properly. You keep telling the same thing and you believe the same thing.
Won't you make somebody come watch me then?
No, it's simply, let's let her stay 5 days, go have free time for her, and you stay here, let's see what happens.
James stays in the hospital and still doesn't lose any weight. Lisa finally admits, after Dr. Now's many accusations, that yes, she is sneaking food into the hospital for him to eat. The smug look on Lisa's face wouldn't last long, as unfortunately for James, on the 3rd of April in 2020, he was rushed to the hospital for a final time and tragically lost his life due to complications with sepsis, alongside a litany of other health complications. His family and TLC all released statements sharing how heartbroken they were, with many viewers sharing a controversial view on his untimely demise. If you want to learn more about his death and to find out more about other stars of the show who's lost their lives, click the video that's on your screen now, and I'll see you in the next one.
And so highly recommend you go and follow Big Craig, 31,000 followers.